Hi guys, Yacca here. So as you can see, I took part in a tournament this weekend, and it wound up being quite well. I ended up first place, so I wanted to do this kind of segment just to give you a bit of information how I prepare for stuff like this. I like doing tournaments in Hearthstone, and whether it is like this one, it's a national kind of unofficial tournament, but still it has some kind of attention from the national players in Denmark where I live. Or if it is like the qualifier schedules for the Grandmasters, I like taking part in those tournaments. But playing in tournaments are a little bit different from when you are playing ladder or arena or whatever you're playing. Some of the you can actually you can use some other preparation skills than you would for ladder. The closest resemblance of this would be ladder, because arena you have like a kind of random number of cards. It's always 30 cards, of course, but it's the draft can go either way. So that's not the kind of applicable skill set for this. In ladder, when you're playing ladder, you usually end up picking a predetermined deck from the meta somehow. You can also play your own creations, but there are efficient decks out there. The real big difference goes almost without saying between ladder and tournaments is that you have some kind of control over which opponents you're going to meet. And I would like to go through the logic of the decks that I chose to bring, and what I did to prepare, and how I did just a few changes to the decks in order to increase my win rate as much as I could. When you're playing ladder, you don't know your opponents, which opponents you are actually going to meet. Of course, that's kind of the same in tournaments, but usually in tournaments you have like a best of 3 or best of 5 format. So you bring 3 or 4 decks. This tournament was a best of 5, so you bring 4 decks, and of those 4 decks, your opponent gets to ban one, saying, "This one you don't get to play with that one," and he does the same to you. So part of the logic behind that is that you can say, well, if you can choose decks like these 4 decks which are really, really bad against a certain deck. You don't have to be that concerned with it, because you can always ban it if your opponent brings it. Your opponent might not bring it, but if your opponent brings that really poor matchup for the deck that you have, you can always ban it. And that was kind of the mindset for me going into this. I've chosen Libram Paladin, Malygos Druid, and I've chosen let me just I've chosen Weapon Rogue, and I've chosen what was the last one that I brought? That was Tortollan Mage. All of these 4 have somewhat bad matchup against aggro decks, but especially against Face Hunter. So if I were pitched against an opponent which brought Face Hunter, I could just ban it. I looked through some of the other matchups, and if my opponent didn't bring Face Hunter, then I could choose between which would probably be the poorer matchup. So generally there were some aggressive strategies which I tried to ban away from, like for instance Demon Hunter is still rather aggressive and really focused around the weapons, and that wasn't too great against the decks that I brought. It weren't unwinnable, but it weren't great. So if my opponent brought Demon Hunter, and not Face Hunter, I just banned Demon Hunter. So I had a clear strategy going into the tournament of what I wanted to do with my opponents whenever my opponent brought some decks and I wanted to ban one of them. Then I knew what I wanted to do. I will I'll do a bit of gameplay on the 4 decks that I brought so you can see how they actually work. I'll just do a single gameplay video on that. But all the decks I skewed towards being, you could call it weapon hate, so weapon removal. I added that specifically in all the decks, even though I wouldn't ever play that on ladder. What you'll see is not games from the tournament. I will actually play them on ladder, but some of the decks are not really, there's not a lot of room. For instance, Malygos Druid doesn't really have room for like an Acidic Swarm Boost as one of the really good weapon removal cards, but I found room for it anyway, essentially making the deck just a little bit worse in order to tech against weapons. Again, being that, for instance, if my opponent both brought Demon Hunter and Face Hunter, I would ban Face Hunter, but Demon Hunter would still have a bunch of weapons in there, which the Ooze would be really good towards. And I would also come up against, which I also did towards over the course of the tournaments, Bomb Warrior. Bomb Warrior weren't really all that great, but I could do some soft targeting, that's what it's called. I don't build the deck completely in order to counter a certain opponent, but I skew the deck in a way that you are somewhat more favored than you would be if you, for instance, can guarantee that you're up against Bomb Warrior on ladder. So I could do something that would increase my win rate just a little bit more against some of the weapon heavy decks. Yeah, and I think that what you will see is that when I show you the different decks, I'll just talk shortly about what I exchanged, and then you'll see some gameplay. But tournaments in general are great fun if you have the decks for it and you want to try it out. Just jump right in there. If you go on battlefy.com, that's where Blizzard holds all their qualifiers, and there's a bunch of other tournaments, free tournaments in there you can just take part in and try out your skill sets. It's just really trying out tournaments and just remembering that it's a little bit different from playing ladder, and you will learn that in I'm not sure that I'll say no time, but just subjecting yourself to tournaments could be where you actually say, wow, this is actually a great experience in Hearthstone. And I would really recommend it. It's something that I've found really fun to do. But I think I want to show you the decks, and thanks for celebrating with me that I wound up first in this tournament. Hopefully it's not going to be next time I'm going for first again. We'll see how far I can move up the ranking. So, but let's head on into the gameplay. Let's try it out.
Hazelbark versus Mayev.
Having the Ooze might actually be okay against a rogue. For instance, if it's weapon rogue. Got some ramp. Whoops. Like to see if I can draw some more. Not really, I guess. We'll just stay there.
Who in their right mind hides loot?
Okay, so that's stealth rogue. I think that's it.
If I must.
I'm probably calling out overgrowth in the next turn. in order to get the ramp going. That's not really too threatening, because he didn't combo that one specifically. I actually won't use my weapon removal on that one. Oh, that's kind of great. I do this. I go to a 2-5 and clear those two. If I also use the hero power. And I'll heal to full. I think that's actually good enough. I don't need this as a threat.
Yes, I must. Nature speaks.
I'll heal.
Listen. Listen.
And then I have guardian animals on the next turn. Having guardian animals is really great because I don't really want to draw my 5-drop beasts with Geppetto. I want to thin that out first. And this is what I want to use the ooze for. I hit the minion. Wow. This might actually be a concede when I drop this, because usually you don't run oozes. We'll see. But this one is better than dropping guardian animals, and then I'll drop the Twilight Runner. Your turn. He's gonna be like, what? Secret passage. Wow. Also on the ordering side, before attacking with the Twilight Runner, I want to drop the Guardian Animals first. So I don't draw any of my 5-cost beasts. Let's do that. Use that to hit face, so I'll use this one. Okay. I'll hit face. And then I can heal my minion. I do want to thin out the hand just a little bit because I can draw Overflow, I can drop Geppetto and stuff like that. Okay. Should have frozen that. Well, he couldn't do that, of course. Okay. And getting into that combo range, I could Geppetto, have more or less the full combo. Like 4, 8, 9, 3, 12. Almost there. Yeah, I'll draw for the Libram on the next turn. And I'll just drop this one. Next turn is lethal. I can drop Malygos, and then it's gonna be 9, 18, 20, 24. This is more or less guaranteed lethal. Oh, he's really trying, but there's no chance. Geppetto is also only ever run in
Fight me, you get burned.
Malygos. He knows that's a challenge. There we go. So we got a little bit of demonstration on how to manage the deck, and we got the demonstration of at least part of the combo, how that can actually work. So it did quite well in the tournament. It was actually this deck that specifically won me the last game in the finals. So good job, Druid. Next deck we have is the Libram Paladin. It's kind of a different build. It still has some of the Libram synergies, but not as many buffs as you saw in the old Libram Paladins or pure Paladins. There's a cat which wants to communicate with me. It's much more centered around the draw, controlling the board, but also towards the end of the game than bursting your opponent down. I think for this, I want to keep the ooze, because if it's weapon rogue, or if it's the aggressive rogue with the hooked scimitar, it's still quite good. This one, I want to get on the board as soon as possible. And there we go, Pen Flinger is so good. I'll show you guys, it's gonna be... Get back to the hand. It's such an annoying minion to deal with. I'll just drop 2 drop, 1 drop. Yeah, I'll drop a 1 drop. Next turn I can drop the Pen Flinger, Hand of it all. Unless he has some kind of answer for that one. Seems like it. Still, right now I don't want to go for the ooze. I'll discount my Librams and draw a card. Libram of Justice with Pen Flinger, that's so amazing.
May I have this dance?
What can we do here? We can loot holder, we can actually also use this one. Maybe it's even better to coin out the Truth Seeker. It actually challenges the board.
No?
I think that's actually a little bit better.
I'm going to throw the book at you.
And the Librams of Hope are on 6. Okay. He's keeping his minions quite sturdy, but do this. Can't really get rid of that one. I can use this one instead. Clear the board. I'll develop.
For my discretion.
And I'll set up a draw.
Consider this a house call.
He can make some rather big minions. Do I want to use that one as well? Because there's some good synergy between... This one actually survives the burst from the Pyromancer. Yeah, at least I'll show you guys the idea behind it. There we go. It wasn't me. I really like the pen flinger, it's so funny.
I smell blood.
Oh,
A cruel fate awaits you in the ashes.
he has a way of clearing this one. Well, he's... okay. That's all of his burn, more or less. So I can do this. I don't really need to address that weapon just yet. I can do this and hero power, hit face.
I'm going to throw the pocket.
That one goes to 0. Pretty good removal if you ask me.
A cruel fate awaits you in the ashes.
Even if he develops like a big Edwin or whatever, then I can still manage all of that. He saps that one. My Librams are quite inexpensive at the moment. Libram of Hopes. I've got 3 different kinds of Librams in there. Don't really want to use that one. I need to use the spell burst. Well, not the spell burst, the burst off the spell. So I need to drop this first because I don't have any other. After that I can drop. I'll use the pen flinger because that's 1, 3, and 5. That goes to 8. Need to hit as well. I'll do this. Drop that one. Justice. And the Outdoor Truth Seeker. To manage all my resources and use up as much as I can before I develop the White Pyromancer. It's not a sign of desperation, but it's at least he didn't have any cards he can could use there.
Onward to adventure in the shadows.
It's not really all that threatening. There we go. That one gets loose. Salad Sprite. I think I'm just going face more or less, right? No, I can do a trade there. I'll do this for sure. 7-8. Two salads, one salad sprite. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 I can draw.
Hello? Hello?
I guess I'll just drop both.
Spoiler!
And he needs to get something rather significant in order for him to win this. Seven, and he's used up his burn with eviscerates. That was an expensive card draw. I definitely don't mind that. 12, still lethal. Still lethal. He's just gonna concede now. When he does the math, there we go. But this deck really performed rather well in the tournament as well. It was kind of different from where everyone else, what they brought, and that kind of people weren't really sure about how to play against this. So bringing like something that is a known archetype, but something that shifts us up a little, shifts the deck up somewhat, is also very much supporting of joining a tournament if you are able to do that. And this just hit the nail on that one. So really performed well the deck, and it got a lot of attention over the course of the tournament. So, yep. Okay, the weapon rogue was a good, generally strong class. It had weak matchups against, for instance, Face Hunter, Paladin as well, but they weren't unwinnable. And that's why it was a good bring, because it was a staple deck.
Can escape my fury.
And therefore it had some kind of game against more or less every deck. What you generally want to do is you want to keep your. You want to fight your Greyheart Sages and your self-sharpening swords. Those you want to keep in the mulligan. But also your 1-cost stealth minions. We don't find any here, so I'll do a full mulligan. See what we can find. Nothing so far. Backstab is good against the Apprentice. Yay, I found one. No, I just need a stealth minion. It's good against the Apprentice whenever he tries to pop off like that. If it's the Tempo Mage, seems like it is. My greatest challenge is going to be the Mana Giants. I could go for a secret passage and see if I can draw one of my 1-cost stealth minions. That's 4 out of 25. The math really doesn't add up like that, but it's very low on the percentage side. I think I need to do this instead. Then I can do something else with the Deadly Poison, Red Corsair maybe, and then draw cards later with the Greyheart. Self-sharpening sword. Let's go for a yes please there.
Justice is mine.
I will use this one charge and then I'll go for this one. Seems like a waste because you want to increase it as much as possible. I just found that it kind of works fine because it will grow and you can really make it immensely big with Dr. Krastenov and stuff like that. Deadly Poison answers that quite well. I think we'll even get a good cutting class out of it.
Justice is mine.
We'll go here. Then we can Sneaky Delinquent, Red Corsair.
Blood and plunder.
And then I should be able to draw the Greyhound Sage. Even if he kills off somehow the Sneaky Delinquent, then I can use the ghostly one with the Greyhound Sage. Yeah, he manages to kill it off. But it still works. Just thinking about that for a short while, but I think I want to draw.
Cruel fate awaits you in the ashes.
Okay, wow.
Justice is mine.
Just wow. I'll make a 9 attack weapon. Maybe I can use that as a burst towards the end of the game. I'm getting to that point now where Steel Dancers and Dr. Krastenov is going to be good. Right now he hasn't really done a crazy amount of things, but when they pop off, so to speak, then it goes really fast, and the Mana Giant is going to be discounted so quickly.
Mastery takes dedication.
What gets to be removed? And actually, with a leftover Krastenov, that's actually quite good. He needs to answer that somehow.
Nurse, cleaver.
Grow it.
Justice is mine. Face your fate.
Now I actually have lethal set up over 2 turns with the weapon, so it needs exactly some kind of phase freeze like Frostbolt.
Is it cold in here? Or is it just me?
He shouldn't be able to raise me. Not with that.
Home is where the wagon is.
Dormant, and then what? To 2 random enemy minions. Okay. Do I have lethal 12? I do have lethal now. Unless it freezes. 4, 13.
Explode.
Is it into 1? Maybe it's... Is it easier to get lethal with the secret passage? Drop 1 willpower in the secret passage, that leaves... That's 4 mana, that leaves 3. And an eviscerate will be lethal. Cutting class will be free. I can draw for more. Because this 4, 13 and 1 off. But this actually gives me a chance
A little something I whipped up.
to find it. Ah man, no eviscerate.
Quickly. Justice is mine.
I'm not sure if he can actually... If he freezes my face but doesn't address the board, it's still lethal. And he needs to find 12,
A simple spell should do.
another 4, 16, 11 points of damage. Now he needs 2 mana to do that with. Shouldn't be possible now. With the minions, it should be it. Of course, there's devolving missiles will do something.
Buy one, get one free.
some kind of somewhere freezing phase and then devolving missiles. No, but now he needed to get rid of the minions. That's it. We managed to do it. And we even drew an eviscerate if everything else failed. It's definitely possible for the Tempo Mage to win, but as you can see, it's definitely also something where you have good game against it, and then if you go aggressive enough, I didn't really have a good start, but it still managed to work. Then you actually do have good game against the Tempo Mage. So you much rather up against an opponent like that than the Face Hunter. Lastly, we have the Tortollan Mage. Tortollan Mage isn't like a great matchup deck. It doesn't have really strong suits against each and every opponent. So it is mainly used to counter specific things that your opponent brings. Because the other decks were quite... they weren't all that strong against, like for instance, Druid, if it were Survival Druid. Malygos Druid is quite bad. Libram Paladin and Priest. Those were the specific counters for the deck. So it's going to be interesting to see which kind of Druid we're up against. And to see if we can actually draw into Tortollan Pilgrims and the like. I could choose to keep a Blizzard, but I really want to go for something else. Sunreaver War Mage needs Blizzards as well in order for it to be functional. And that's kind of the win condition behind the deck. I would argue that Wand Thief is we got the Tortollan Pilgrim, is a card which also can grant a spell which is of high cost. We'll see. What else can there be said about the deck? It's really difficult to pilot, and it is, as I mentioned, not a high win rate deck on a lot of points, so it's not going to be that deck that just works with everything. Okay, a bit of tempo play there. I'll put my own tempo on the board. Should work with Wand Thief. Also Firebrand actually. Let's see the 2-drop. But he does not have any spells. Not all that concerned with that one. There we go. I can wait with Wand Thief. If I need to, or if it just goes face, I can just drop the Firebrand on the next turn. Could also just freeze the board. I think that might be fine because then I get the full value out of the Imprisoned Observer. And then I'll actually see if I can find I don't find any expensive spells. Frostbolt is probably best. It's a bit of burst. Not sure how much that actually does. Because I do have the Firebrand. Oh, I drew both Frost Novas. That's not good. Then I only have the Blizzards left for the freeze effects of the Tortollan. But I guess it's fine.
You fight me, you get burned.
There we go. Should have placed this one over there to play around Lake Threshers out of Guardian Animals. Guess I can play around it with the other observer. Yeah, I'll do that.
What have they done to me?
Learn Draconic. Is that a no? I can draw into the other Firebrand. Yeah, I'll keep it, and I'll just...
Wake up!
I can't hurt that one anyway. I'll just go face. If he draws, he goes to 10, but I guess that's fine as long as he empties out the hand just a little bit. Push him to 9, but...
I supply only the finest creatures.
Okay.
We must band together, united for Dalaran!
Okay, fair enough. What is annoying is that he's dropping 3-cost minions, so he might actually draw into a, what's it called? Oh, Living Dragon Breath, something like that, I'm not sure. I'll do this.
The end is coming!
I need to clear the board. Next turn, with a clear board, then I can drop the Tortollan quite safely. And I have a good empty hand for a Tortollan start. That's fine. Oh, he actually triggers first. Oh, that's annoying. I actually knew that. We'll do this.
In my hands now.
Potion of Illusion.
Job's done.
This is the win condition. We'll see if we can manage. I still need to draw the Sun Reaver. He's using his face. It's fine. I'll draw the Blizzard.
You're in my hands now.
Potion of Illusion. And I'll drop another one.
You're in my hands now.
Potion of Illusion.
You're in my hands now. You're in my hands.
We'll end up with the Blizzard. Right, I'll just fill up the hand.
You're in my hands now.
This is the last one. I need a little bit of room on the board.
Time runs out on me.
You're in my hands now.
Blizzards. Ping. We'll make room. Sure. So now I can just hit him down. If he drops like a torch, it's gonna be a little bit more challenging, but it's gonna be fine. Ooh, Sphere of Sapiens. It's actually great. We will.
Gracious.
Will take some time, but we will get there.
Goodness gracious. You're in my hands now.
Potion of Illusion. Then I'll go to
You're in my
6.
hands now. You're in my hands now.
It's 5, and the 6th one will be Blizzard.
You're in my
Time runs out on me.
There we go. And we will hit face. And we will ping face. There we go. And I still have room to draw into the... Do you really want to prolong this?
Your future is no more.
Looks like I'm here just in time.
It's fine. He'll go to fatigue also eventually. Well, not with that one actually. That's a little bit annoying. Not sure why he did go for the high health million as the one for Torch. Sure, I'll draw the O's. I think I'll end on that one this time.
You're in my hands now.
I'll drop a couple of blizzards.
You're in my hands now. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Goodness.
I can see.
It'll take some time, but with the Sphere Sapiens, it wouldn't. It will just. You would just grind the life out of him, and he knew that, and that's why he conceded. We managed to go to get the win against a druid which did not run the Malygos, because then he could definitely still win, as long as he didn't have like a complete board locked state. So those were the decks that I brought to the tournament. It worked well. I got first place, and get out there, try your own tournaments. It's great fun. Thanks for watching, guys.